Larry Shover is from Efficient Capital Management, is also author of Trading Options in Turbulent Markets, standing by for you, the CME Group in Chicago. Larry, let's talk crude, shall we, first? A great bounce there. What do you make of the trend now? Where's the next sort of level that you're eyeing?
It seems like crude oil and gasoline are going to continue to go higher, even with the numbers that came out in the United States with gasoline inventories. It seems to me that we had a little bit of a reprieve, but the options action anyway is all on the upside. People are betting for $100 crude oil, maybe not right away, but that's what the options, which normally never lie, are telling the market that we are going to rally between now and the next quarter. It makes sense in a way when you think of the worldwide recovery, hopefully going into an expansion with higher crude prices.
This news as well that the US government has said no, no, no to any new drilling off your East Coast for the next 7 years.
Oh, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? It just. But keep in mind, we have the Republicans in the Congress right now. I think this moratorium will be overturned, and that's some of the news going on right now. But besides that, there seems to be a very big inventory buildup in the Far East, and actually in New York Harbor, giving liquidity to gasoline markets. And it seems to me that the consumption will come back and markets will rally, even if that moratorium stays in place in the Gulf.
Well, it's interesting that rallies have been absent commodity markets for at least now 3 weeks. Societe Generale saying in its view, this is the buying opportunity for most of them. It said most commodities. Are there any that you think have been, at these levels even now, overbought?
Well, personally, I think gold's overbought, but that's because I'm not a gold bug, I suppose. And gold, to me right now, is sentiment-based. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense why it goes up, why it goes down, other than sentiment in the market. It reminds me a lot of the housing bubble that we just experienced, or even before that, the dot-com stocks, which, boy, once it gets up these lofty levels, could it go higher? Sure. But if you're the last person in, watch out. We can see a lot of volatility. So in my opinion, I think gold is the most overpriced asset. And on the other hand, I think copper, even though that has had a strong rally, I do believe copper has a lot more room on the upside given the worldwide expansion that most people are predicting for next year.
So it's almost the herd mentality though, isn't it? You kind of run the risk, don't you, of being caught out if most turns out to be, well, sorry, we got it wrong, even most.
Although the bear, Larry's Martin Lakos here, but the bear on my right here is conveniently forgetting these manufacturing data that's coming out, and that's got to be driving to some extent the demand for commodity prices.
A lot of those have come off low bases, as you know, and the one that you're really placing all your store on, Martin, continues to be China, and how they get numbers out in record time, even for you, amazes you.
Yeah, despite the scepticism, we know that China's doing pretty well, and you know, I think we're with you, Larry, in terms of the broader commodity complex going forward.
Larry, you know this as much as anyone. In the US, housing is a key component of that copper price. If it were to be the case that in China, housing really freezes up, what happens to the build of copper inventories already? You know, they're not going to need more into next year at all.
No, but we're looking more at, if you're talking more about the United States, I'm looking at the global demand for copper. Whether you buy it, you're buying it for, for global reasons. I mean, I think we're going to see expansion in South America, of all places. We're going to see a continued expansion in India and in China. So all those countries combined, we're going to see a worldwide demand for copper. I think what I'm saying by that, as a trader, is gold is at a lofty price. Yes, it could continue to go up, but boy, the volatility on the downside is enormous. I think with copper, with its immense amount of consumer and industrial applications, it has room to go higher, and the volatility on the downside is not the same.
All right. Also, we saw the softs too. They shot higher, and we knew there were some fundamental factors influencing wheat. That looks as if it still was in traders' minds, but the dollar helped push it higher as well, inevitably, that weak dollar position.
Yeah, that weak dollar, you know, it's funny. It's how soon people forget, how quickly people forget. With all the moving parts going on in the world right now, we have a couple of really good PMI numbers. The ADP number in the United States added 93,000 jobs, which is probably the biggest number they've had in 6 months. And out of nowhere, we get over a 2% rally. I just read not too long ago that Spain rallied 4% this morning in the U.S., or you know, early morning in the U.S. And all of a sudden, people are willing to put the risk-on bet again, where people are willing to buy stocks blindly, sell the dollar into oblivion, buy commodities. Until further notice, it's the risk-on is back on.
Yeah, and then the stampede out of Treasury is all too palpable. Tell me about cotton, because that one was so hot that it overshot the daily limit. India capping exports now. How important a thematic is that? It almost has the ring of China clamping down on rare earths, and the flurry of action that then goes into rare earth stocks, like Lynas in Australia.
Yeah. Right. And so that's not a big contract, the CME group, but people are saying, and people are really worried about it, thinking that we're going to see increased demand with that more and more, and it's going to be like the redheaded stepchild that's been forgotten. But good grief, we've seen volume come out of nowhere. People aren't really sure how to figure it all out, but you know, 3 or 4 months down the road, the traders will figure it out, and the trade will be over. That's normally how it goes.
What was the one commodity your clients were being advised to sort of sell at these levels because it was a good opportunity at the end of today's session? You know, bank some profits, guys, because, you know, it's all actually got a bit too hot.
Yeah, and I'm always wary of things that get too hot too quickly as a trader, and it's a shame because it takes a while for the public to get educated about what's really going on, and by the time that happens, the move's already happened, and they're the ones that get left holding the bag. Unfortunately, it's just the way it goes.